Hey everyone. Well, it's Truth Tuesday, and I'm here to share some of my biggest truths in hopes that you will also recognize some of yours and learn from them. Because in today's world, it's super important that we have the exchange of information, right, between us because we have the technology that allows us to connect with anyone around the world that has, a Wi Fi connection, right? Or maybe even sometimes just a cellular connection via WhatsApp. But because we have that power of technology, we can connect with more people in different places. I've coached and connected with clients in over 44 countries. And it's been a wonderful learning experience because, different parts of the world may have certain lead sources, certain groups, certain strategies that if we share them with each other, we can help each other. One of the biggest things that I've learned is that there's so many different similarities, like even between like Australia and the United States. And it's one of my clients is a very large coaching organization, and it's always such a wonderful feeling when I have the weekly call and we're able to share tips and strategies. And one of those strategies that you may or may not be familiar with, but I'm going to share this with you before I talk about the big truth that I wanted to share today, is that a lot of people that I know that I work with are affiliated or members of BNI, which is a networking referral group where you pay to be a member of it, and then you commit to exchanging leads. But one of the biggest truths, the biggest learning lessons that was shared on one of my calls was someone in Australia. One of the coaches had said that uh, you can actually be a visitor for the BNI groups. And the other coaches that I had on the call that week were not aware of that. So that was a big a big truth, because when the gentleman in Australia shared that, then the people in the United States and different parts of the world, of course, were able to learn that and start exploring different options. And the reason why that's important, if you're not familiar with BNI, is it does cost. It's a pay to play membership. And one of the reasons why people may hesitate to join would be that they're not sure if, that group dynamic is right. And even if you go as a guest, you need to do your due diligence to make sure that it is going to be a good fit for your business. If, like, for instance, if you joined BNI, but those people are not actually, have access to who your ideal client would be, then it may not be a fair exchange. You're paying to play, right? And you are expected to exchange leads, but it's super important, like I said, that you do your due diligence. And that was one of the biggest lessons that came out of that. So the gentleman in Australia, he would offer to fill in for people. He strategically located 4 or 5 of the BNI. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he strategically located 4 or 5 of the BNI groups that he was thinking about joining. And then he offered to fill in for members. So then ultimately, he was able to figure out which group was going to be the best for his company, because obviously to pay to be a member and then be bringing leads, you need to make sure that those people that you're working with, that you're in the membership with, have access to give you quality leads, right? Because it's supposed to be a fair exchange. And of course, you want to be able to give, but then to also receive. So let's make sure that we share our truths and our biggest learning lessons. Today, the truth that I wanted to share may upset some people, actually, but I think it's a truth that needs to be spoken. And that one of the reasons why I founded thehappyexecutive.com was to actually, take a stand and make sure that we are able to really get clear on claiming our health, our wealth, and our happiness. And what I have witnessed, and I've experienced some of this over different parts of my life, is, sometimes people are afraid to ask for money and for in exchange for their services. And you may be listening to this and you may be one of those people. And if you are, I would ask you to really get super clear on what you're looking to achieve with your business, with what you're seeking to do. Because when I hear people say, and they've actually shown up in my Zoom room and they've said, it's not about the money, like as an example, let's just say that a coach shows up in my Zoom room, and when I'm in their brand new client and I ask them about, just some basic questions, what they are, who are they seeking to serve, and really, what prompted them to get into coaching. Because some of the people that I work with are brand new coaches. They may have been in a C-level position previously, but some are brand new coaches. That doesn't mean that they haven't coached before, because like I said, some people like informally coach and don't really realize that they are coaching. But my point is that some people show up in my Zoom room as new clients, and they are relatively new to coaching. Other people have been coaching but have not been monetizing. And this is where I want to spend the next few minutes, because if you are seeking to serve people, if you have a process, if you have a course, if you have the tools to be able to help people transform maybe their businesses, transform their lives, okay, then there has to be a fair exchange of monetary value. And sometimes I hear people that show up as new clients and they say, but it's not about the money. I'm not doing it for the money. Well, that is troublesome. And I'm speaking to you and really asking you that if that those words have come out of your mouth, then what do you expect to happen with your business? Because I'm here to tell you that if making money and monetizing your particular course or your particular process of transforming maybe a client's business or transforming a life, you don't have a business if you are not going to monetize. And this was something that I had to remind myself when I was working as executive director for a caregiving agency that I built, that I owned. But I had to remind myself because I knew it was going to be difficult for me to collect, to be the bill collector, to collect the money. Because a lot of these things, in my situation, people were going through health challenges. Some of the family members were distraught with, of course, just reason, because of the fact that their loved ones may have a debilitating disease. Some had cancer, a lot had memory issues, along with Alzheimer's. Oh, so it was tough for me, especially at the beginning, to be the bill collector because of course I wore all the hats at the beginning besides caregiving. So I was not only responsible for generating the invoices from our payment system, but then of course I also had to make sure that I did the reminders and collect the invoices. And I was really, I thought, a couple steps ahead initially because I decided that I was going to do email billing, meaning I did not want to send the invoices via the mail. And this was back in 2008. So I really thought that I was like ahead of the curve with technology. And it did help significantly because I was able to cut down that mail delivery time, right? Because, sometimes things got lost in the mail. I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I would send the email with the bill attached. And then all they had to do, because I still had a lot of people that like to pay by check, then all they had to do was print out the invoice and uh, and then send the check in the mail. So that's it. Or sometimes I would pick it up because I was going on visits. But anyways, I had to remind myself because I would actually tell myself, this is not a non-profit. This is a for-profit business. So, I mean, and quite frankly, now that I, would say that, I often think back, I'm like, okay, well, nonprofits need to make money too. And by the way, that's been on my mind because I'm going to be launching a nonprofit, hopefully in the very near future. And I'm super excited. I am going to be launching a nonprofit, hopefully sooner rather than like next year. So I'm really excited about that, but more on that later. So I had to remind myself that this was a for-profit business because I had caregivers that I needed to pay every 2 weeks. And I'm proud to say I didn't miss a payroll for any of my employees. Of course, I did miss some payrolls for me, meaning I did not get paid because, there were, delays with people paying bills, different reasons. But I always had to make sure that my employees got paid. Nobody, it's not, uh, it's not acceptable to be late with someone's pay. They were paying They were using that money for their expenses. They were, feeding families off of it, and it wasn't acceptable. So even if my clients and families, for some reason, if they were late, I still had to, figure out, I did to come up and make sure that we didn't miss the payroll. But the point is that you have to really decide for yourself, do you want to run your business as a business, or is it really just a hobby? Is it just maybe a passion project? Which, my gosh, if you can do that, that can be super energizing. If you don't have to, justify, if you are independently wealthy, or if you have a pension. There are a few people that I know that, they are getting a pension, they are retired, and so, really monetizing their business is not the top priority. But I really think that it does have to be the fair exchange of value, though, because people do value what they invest in. If they are going to pay you, for instance, for a service, then, my hope would be that they would use that service, that they would want to get their money's worth and more. So I really, really recommend that, if you're looking to monetize, that you need to have a clear revenue plan, of course. Uh, and you need to get over your fear of asking for money. Your time is valuable. Your time is very precious, and time is not a commodity. It really is a coveted resource. And so we need to make sure that we honor our time as well as others and their time. Now, I realize that a lot of times there are things outside of our control, but we have to take 100% responsibility for the ways that we are going to react and the ways that we are going to proceed. And if it's your passion project, then allow it to be that, and categorize it as that. But if you are looking to make money, to monetize your intellectual property, your way of doing things, then that needs to be spoken and that needs to be declared. And there is no shame that needs to be had for that. Because when I hear people say, well, it's not about the money, and if I, dig in a little bit deeper and ask some other questions, 9 out of 10 times, it is that they really do need the money, but they don't want to say that. And the reason why, in a lot of cases, that they need the money is because they don't have a revenue plan. They haven't been doing sales. They don't have any customers in the pipeline. And somehow, somehow in their mind, they got the idea that customers were just going to show up. They were going to line up outside of their Zoom room, and they were going to beg to give their credit card. It doesn't happen that way. We do not live on the set of the Field of Dreams. That is a movie. I think everybody's familiar with that movie. Maybe not, because it has been out for a long time, but you can Google it. The Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. It was filmed in Iowa in the United States. That is a movie. So therefore, if you are looking to make money and actually build a sustainable business then you need to get over your fear of the transaction of money, because you are providing a service. You are not asking for handouts. You are not asking for donations. You are providing a service, and for that service, there is an expected fee to be paid. Lastly, I will say that I would encourage you to have set rates, set investments. Like, let's say you have your core offer, maybe you have your core high-end offer, you have your mid-range range offer, and maybe you have your low-end offer. I particularly have been focusing on just our core high-end offer, and I encourage you to think about that as well, because if you have too many offers going on and you're trying to build too many offer stacks, it can get very confusing. Now, this is not to be confused or misinterpreted that you should not have a very strong, viable offer stack with bonuses. Now, obviously, the longer that you're in business, you're going to be able to add different bonuses. Keep in mind that some of those bonuses can be resources from affiliates, can be, other, like, thinking outside of the box services that you can offer as bonuses. But if you spread yourself too thin and you don't get, super dialed in to what the main offer is that you're going to be focusing on, it's going to be difficult for you to scale that. Because, obviously, if you're offering like a custom solution to every single client, that's not scalable. And I speak from some experience here, because when I first started in coaching, I didn't have a core offer. So I was literally doing a lot of custom work. So, the only thing that was the closest, which really I still don't consider a core offer, was my executive coaching, which of course was a little, we had different goals and objectives for everyone. But now today, of course, we do have a core offer, which is the top tier high end offer. And that's the one that I've been focusing on, because that, of course, delivers the highest amount of value. And it, of course, also, helps people get further faster. And it's a big needle mover. So that's the thing. But when I noticed, when I then even would, work on different offers, and, it would just get confusing, and then none of them would scale to the level that I, wanted them and desired them to scale. So sometimes it's about taking a step back and, and really determining, what is it, what's the offer that's going to make the biggest impact with the most amount of people, and then focus on that offer. And in most cases, it should be a higher end offer, because the higher end offers are going to get the optimal outcomes, and they're going to attract the clients that have the funds to pay for your services. And that's important, again, if you want to build a sustainable business. So you might be thinking, well, that is me. I have said that it's not about the money. Well, then you just need to ask yourself, if it's not about the money, then what is it? Why are you doing this? Because a lot of the same people that I speak about that say, well, it's not about the money, they're not getting the level of clients, meaning quantity, or the ideal client that they're seeking to serve, and they're very frustrated. So there has to be, something that needs to be declared, by you. If it's not about the money, I would question that. Because if you want to build a sustainable business, you know, and it's not about you. Maybe you need to look at it like, how can you build this business to sell it? Maybe that's what needs to happen. But the fear of asking for money in exchange for the time and the resources that you're giving to these people, that is what needs to be reconciled. So I would love to hear your input on, how do you feel about this? Like, did you ever catch yourself saying, well, it's not about the money? Uh, because if you are looking to build a sustainable business, it is about the money. Unless, of course, you are independently wealthy, unless, of course, you have a pension. But I would still encourage you that even if you're not doing this for income, you have to have standard operating procedures. Maybe you still charge a fee, but then you donate a certain percentage to a nonprofit of your client's choice, or to a nonprofit that maybe you started. But to have that fair exchange of value, if let's face it, chances are, if you're in the coaching consulting world and you're doing work, there's going to be some work for your client. Some of it may be introspective, but there is going to be some work, or, some staffing that needs to be taken care of, for your client. So there's work in it, and they have to want that. So I would just encourage you, if you've caught yourself in the past or maybe just recently saying, well, it's not about the money. Is that true? Or is it not about the money because you're fearful to ask for the money? Or is it not about the money because you are questioning your own worth? Or you're questioning, are you going to be able to fulfill these services? These things need to be super clear. And, this is something that you can just do by yourself. You can journal. You can ask yourself the question. You can write the question at the top of the page. Why am I doing this? What lights me up about this? Is there anything I would like to change? And if you do catch yourself saying, oh, it's not about the money, you could say, why is it about the money? And really get super clear. Because once you have that clarity, then you will be able to come up with a viable plan to start monetizing your intellectual property if that's what you choose. But I would encourage you not to run your business like a hobby, or, think that it's okay to say, well, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to wait and see what happens. That leads to a lot of frustration. And believe me, I have been in the same Zoom room with people where they are literally, in tears. And that, of course, pulls at my heartstrings because, you know, uh, so many of you, and everyone really has, something unique to offer. And when I see people not being heard, not getting seen, they're not earning the recognition, they're not earning the revenue, that does pull at my heartstrings. And that's why I'm very adamant and committed to helping people, the ones that want to be heard and get seen, to do that effectively and with ease and grace, and have that feeling like you know what you're meant to do. So let me know what your thoughts are. And I really, really, really look forward to connecting with all of you on a deeper level and hearing your thoughts.